In one of my previous videos, I said that I was going to solve a 9x9 blindfolded. You'll be happy to know that I have successfully solved a 5x5 blindfolded. So how close am I to solving this? So how close am I to solving this? Well, it just depends on how you look at it. If you look at it layer by layer, it's simple. I am 5/9 of the way there, or 55%. However, the more logical way is a bit more complicated. The logical way to look at it is to compare the number of the targets on a 5x5 with the number of targets on a 9x9. Now on the 5x5, the targets are divided up by category. There are the X centers and the plus centers. Why they are called that is obvious. It's because of the shape. There are also middle center pieces, but because those never change location relative to one another, we don't need to memorize those. For edges, there are the middle edge pieces called midges, the side edge pieces called wings, and the corners. So on a 5x5, there are a total of 24 X centers, 24 plus centers, 12 midges, 24 wings, and 8 corners. So that's 24 plus 24 plus 24 plus 12 plus 8, which is equal to 92 targets total. In my 9x9 video, I was not as knowledgeable about blindfolded solving as I am now, and that caused me to make a mistake that I would like to address and correct. What was the mistake? Well, in that video, I said that there was a way of memorizing wing pieces that could reduce it from 24 wings to 12 wings. I'm not quite sure what I was talking about there, but I know one thing for sure, and it was that I was wrong. In memorizing the wings, there are 24 wings, and there's no way of reducing that number, especially not by half. Of course, we're excluding scenarios where some wings happen to already be solved. I got a lot of comments on that video asking me to elaborate on how I was memorizing 12 wings instead of 24. So to those people, I'm sorry that I made that mistake. I think what I had in mind was that the edges on a 4x4 could be flipped like on a 3x3, and if each of the edges could be in one of two locations, then that would reduce the amount of edges to memorize. However, that logic is heavily flawed and doesn't make a lot of sense. So once again, I am sorry about that. Now, knowing that I was wrong in that video, I have redone the math correctly this time. And I found that my previous estimate of the targets for the 9x9 was unfortunately smaller than the actual amount. I estimated that there were 344 targets on a 9x9. I would be lucky to have 344 targets. The 9x9 has 3 sets of 24 X centers, 9 sets of 24 plus centers, 1 set of 12 midges, 3 sets of 24 wings, and 8 corners. So we have 3 times 24 for the X centers, plus 9 times 24 for the plus centers, plus 12 midges, plus 3 sets of 24 for the wings, plus 8 for the corners. 3 times 24 is 72. 9 times 24 is 216. Then plus 12, plus 3 times 24 is 72, plus 8. So 72 plus 216 is 288. And then 288 plus 12 is 300. 300 plus 72 plus 8 is equal to 380. So I was off by about 1 3/4 of a Rubik's Cube. So let's just take that and smack it on top of the old calculations and call it good. 92 out of 380 is equal to 24.2. So I'm about 1/4 of the way to my goal. I would have to take the best blind that I have ever done, which is 5x5 blindfolded, and do 4 times that much. Yep. You solved one 5x5 blind in just 2 tries, now just do 4 of those all at once. Yeah, sure. I'll get right on that. Let's take a minute to talk about increased memory techniques and how I made my memory palace bigger. What I originally did is I would memorize a color and then an animal and then have them like pictured on a table. So I'd take Like let's say we have A, B, C, D, E, F. I would do a bat, a cyan dog, electric fish. Now, for some letters, I couldn't come up with colors that I could easily picture, so I came up with adjectives that were easy to picture. So like E is electric, it's easy to picture an electric fish. It's just a fish with electricity around it. Like, for example, F is fat. So FG would be fat goat. So let me just go over real quick what all of my pairs are. So for the first one, it'd be A, blue, cyan, dark, electric, fat, green, huge, indigo, jello, killer, little, maroon, neon, orange, purple, quick, red, small, tiny, ugly, violet, white, and then I substitute Y in for X, so it would be yellow. Then for the animals, we have an ape, bat, cat, dog, elephant, fish, goat, horse, iguana, jaguar, kitten, not to be confused with cat, kitten with a K, llama, monkey, narwhal, octopus, parrot, queen. So because it was very hard to picture a animal that started with a Q, like a it's some type of, I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, I picture a queen like the chess piece. So it's easy to picture the chess piece of a queen that's like red or blue or fatter or electric or something like that. So queen. Then we have rat, snake, tiger, unicorn, vulture, whale, and a yak. So that's all of my current letter pairs. Now, as I was saying, what I used to do is I'd take two pairs and picture them together. So A, B, C, D, E, F would be a bat, cyan dog, an electric fish, and I would just picture them on the table. But that actually became really hard to memorize very quickly. So what I did is I extended it. So A, B, C, D, E, F would be a bat, and then I would take some sort of audio cue and make it visual. So C, D would be like cuddling, and then EF would be an electric fish. So I'd picture a bat cuddling electric fish right here. But even that led to complications because of one simple thing. There are 8 corners on the Rubik's Cube. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And because of that, it became very hard to picture each of these, and I also ended up with pairs in my memorization that had leftover pieces. So like if I were to have that same memorization but add G and H onto it, I would have a bat cuddling an electric fish and then just a green horse just standing there. So it added a lot to it. So I decided to extend it to 8 pieces and combine as many senses as I could to make the most vivid memory palace that I could possibly make. So I would combine touch, sound, and visuals. So we would have a bat, and then C, D, E, F. I would do kadef. I would just memorize that sound, and I would also trace it with my fingers so that I have that physical sensation as well. So I'd be like a bat, kadefs, a green horse. And that's what I use currently. And it's quick to memorize because I can go back and look at, instead of just picturing the whole thing, I can just picture the first target. So in this case, a bat. I could just picture a bat, and then I know that whenever I see a bat, I can run through my head a bat, kadefs, a green horse. Whereas, and then for the next one, I could do IJ, so an indigo jaguar, and create a set of pieces to memorize from that. And just so on and so forth. Now, by doing that, I was able to create a very vivid memory palace because I could picture each target, one animal, so like 6 targets would actually be 48 because 6 pictures could be 48 targets because each of them would have 8. So I was able to extend my memory palace a lot by that. And my memory palace, of course, is not just picturing stuff on a table. I have a place in my head that I go to. It was my old bedroom from when I was a kid, and I picture stuff on different shelves in that room. So here's the 5x5 blindfolded reconstruction, and we're going to go over the memorization that I used and the execution. So I solved with red in front and yellow on top, so we're going to start with that. I'm going to skip memorization and I'm just going to go over it in chunks. So this is my solution as I went. So the X centers, plus centers, midges, and wings, and then corners, and what I thought of. So the first thing that I started memorizing is the X centers. So we have N, E, J, F, U, G, V, B. So for me, I memorized a neon elephant, Jafugs, a violet bat. So N is over here. So N, neon elephant, J, F, then U, so we do D prime, set up to V, and then undo the D prime, then G, and then V for violet, bat. And because B is second in the pair, we're going to do the algorithm for D instead. So there we go. Next, we're continuing with the X centers. We have W, O, K, R, C, L, T, Y. So a white octopus, Kirkles, a tiny yak. So we'll do D prime to do W. So white, then octopus, Kirkles, so K, R, C, L, a tiny yak, so T, and then Y. Now that's all the X centers. So for the plus centers, we have R, B, I, M, C, E, N, F. So we have a red bat, MCs, a neon fish. So red. Now bat, because B is second in the pair, we're going to do the algorithm for D instead. Then MCs, so I, and then M, C, E, N, F. Next we have S, G, O, U, H, J, V, L, and then P to finish up the cycle. So that's actually 9 targets. Whenever that happens to me, I usually just memorize the P on the end, just to finish it off. So small goat, OU Hodges. So I would probably just remember OUHJ. And then a violet llama P. So we have S for small, goat, O, U, H, J, then we have a violet llama, and then I would just remember the P at the end. And because it's the end of the centers and there was an odd number of targets, we'll just do U2 for parity. So now we're going to do the midges. So this goes to V, S, G, N, and then M, D, A, C. So if we look at our corners real quick after the centers are done and we follow them, we have W, N, A, V, E, and E, and then 3 twisted corners. So because there's an odd number of targets, we're going to do the UR UF swap. So I'm actually going to solve yellow green here and then yellow red over here so that we don't have to do parity algorithm later on. So this is actually going to be yellow and red, and this is going to be yellow and green. So we have V, S, G, N, and then that goes to M, and then D, that's the end of the cycle, so start a new one, A, and C. So that's a violet snake, gunmads, a cat. So V, and then snake is second in the pair, so we do I instead. Violet snake, then G, right here, N, then M, then D, gunmads, and A, cat. So A, and then C is second in the pair, so we do the algorithm for M. Then we have A, R, P, R, and then I would this is flipped, so I'd probably just memorize LF to flip it. So we have a rat perlis, a rat perlis. So A, R, P, and then this flipped edge, so L, F. I don't know what I did wrong there, but okay. So for midges, or sorry, for wings now, this first one goes, I do L2 instead of R2. So this one goes to R, which goes to I, G, O, that's the end of the cycle. So we have A, H, C, J. So that's a red iguana, goaz, a cyan jaguar. So R, so red, and then I, but it's second in the pair, so we'll do S. Then G, O, A, H, and then C. So for C, we just bring it up here to Q and solve for Q. Bring it back down. Then J. Okay, and then keeping it going, we have T, W, B, A, and then that's the end of the cycle, so we'll go D, F, V, and then back to D. So T, here's W. There we go. And then B, A, D, and then F. And we have violet dog. So V, D. And then we just have one more set. So we're out of pieces, and that's the end of the cycle. So the next cycle starts with E. So we have electric, snake, lick, yins, a maroon, parrot, which goes back to E. So we're going to have parity. So electric, snake, and it's the second in the pair, so we do I, L, then K, then Y, N, M, P, and then the last one is E, and we end up with parity. And so now you can see that these two are firmly swapped. Now all we have next is the last couple of pieces, which would be the corners. So W, N, that's the end of the cycle. So A, V, and E. And given that this is the end, I would probably just remember Wanave because it's super short. And then I would remember that the F sticker is turned and that there's headlights right here. So because I use 3 style for corners, I'll do W and then N. So I would probably do D prime up here. So we have W here and then N here and then D2. So WN, and then to solve that, do U2, insert, undo U2, undo insert, and then undo setup. So we have W and N solved. Then we have A and V. That one's super easy. So setup, then insert U2, undo insert, undo U2, and then undo setup. So there's V, and the end of the cycle, the beginning of the cycle is A. So then we have E, which is I do B prime and then a J perm. To solve that, I know that this corner is yellow and it needs to go up. So I know that there's headlights up here, but I would actually probably do this because I memorized this corner. And then I would rotate here and do the headlights on the left side. And that's the reconstruction of my 5x5 blindfolded solve. So how did it feel to actually solve a 5x5 blindfolded? Pretty good, not gonna lie. I got it easier than I thought I would because getting it in 2 tries is just nuts. But this is actually the hardest event in the WCA competitions. So in actual Rubik's Cube competitions, the hardest event that you have, that you can do, is solving a 5x5 blindfolded. So this means that I can actually do all of the events now, except clock. I don't do clock. I've never done a clock. I probably could though. You know what? If 100 people comment clock, I'll solve a clock. I'll buy one and solve it. Anyway, it was actually a really fun challenge to me, and I am going to get started on 6 blind right away. See you guys whenever I do that. Boom. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. So, disclaimer, I might not be posting videos for a few months because I'm going on a secret trip. You could call it a secret trip. But I'm not going to be away forever, I promise. And I will tell you what, if you guys can get me up to 2,500 subscribers in the time that I'm gone, I will tell you all about what I've been up to. And I'll solve the clock.